Ladies and gentlemen,
Yo.
this is Dylan Foreman, host and star of the Millennials Suck
Star?
podcast. The talent, the brains, the engineering, the roots and the leaves of the Millennials Suck podcast. And we have something very, very important to discuss with you regarding one of the minor characters on this podcast. And, you know, it breaks our hearts.
I'm going to stop you right there real quick. Fuck you, first and foremost.
Jason, I was talking. Okay. What we want to talk about today is...
Cancer! I have cancer! Fuck him! I'm not going to let him say it. Fuck you. That's it. That's the update. So as Dylan so rudely has already said,
You're welcome.
we are joined by the lovely, beautiful, and bitchy Alyssa Cervisi from Cervisi Art.
Hello.
I can say that. She's my girlfriend now. Anyway, as Dylan was saying, we just want to update you guys on a few things. Obviously, we've been missing for like a ridiculous period of time, which is almost suicide for podcasts. But essentially, you know, we had already known that we were going to take a break. We knew it would be a little bit longer than usual because we always do our season breaks. But the reason why we were taking so long is because we wanted to restructure. We weren't going to tell you guys anything because we wanted to just kind of hit you with it and come out fast and moving, whatever. And I'm kind of going to peel back the curtains a little bit here and kind of show you how everything works in the Black Brick Studio. But essentially, the plan was originally to get cameras. We'll get to it. And then restructure the way that not only we release our content, but also the way we format it, like internally. Originally, we had intended to get really high-end cameras, but we didn't want to spend more money than necessary in order to get, you know, the creme de la creme of cameras, if you will. Because we didn't know, we obviously have predictions of how things can go, but we didn't want to overstep our possibility at such a small stage in our show's trajectory or whatever the fuck. How would you word that?
We're poor.
Yeah, we're poor. We didn't want to spend more money than we had on cameras that wouldn't be as beneficial as we're hoping. Right?
Yeah.
I don't even know if they can see the Spirit Board, though.
Yeah.
Shout out to Spirit Board.
This podcast, since day one, has been very DIY.
Oh, yeah. We've been learning as we go.
Yeah. Everything is done in-house. You know, we record the episodes. They get done. I basically go straight from this chair to the computer chair and start editing, mixing, mastering. It goes up. Like, it's all done without, you know, any sort of, what's the word? A sponsorship. There's no sponsorship here.
Well, I mean, technically there's sponsorship because, you know, shout out to Foreman Creative, but the Foreman Creative is our sponsor in that he being Dimitri Foreman, who is the owner and operator of Foreman Creative, he handles our artwork. He handles our website. He designed and hosted himself. He literally pays for it. Like, in that way, he is our sponsor. And we're more like distant business partners in that sense, and that it's mutually beneficial. If he helps us, we help him kind of thing. It's less of a sponsorship and more of buddies working together. But essentially, we didn't want to invest more money into things that we weren't sure we would get the return back on. And in doing so, we kind of fucked ourselves because we decided to purchase cheaper cameras, and we did so earlier than we were anticipating because we were hosting, or I guess covering, if you will, what was it? The new Natty Showcase? Is that what they called it?
Yep.
Yeah. So we were doing our second event with Blacklight Productions. And we wanted to get the cameras in place so that we could release, because we did what was it, 25 interviews over the span of like 6 hours.
Yep.
So yeah, we were working all day. We showed up at the venue at noon, and then we literally did interviews all day, and then we wanted to get cameras for that because we wanted to be able to, if we're going to make content against the plan that we had, we wanted to make sure we were doing so at least in some sort of uniform fashion so that when we did start releasing our actual content, it would be conducive to what we would already release for Blacklight. The problem is that we bought cheap-ass cameras. And when I tell you these cameras are so fucking cheap, dude, so fucking cheap. Like,
they suck.
They don't even have brand names on them, bro. Like, legitimately, they just say digital camera, and there's an acronym that looks like a brand that just is digital recording device, and that is it. It says
DVC.
DVC. So it's like, what ended up happening was we ended up losing almost, more than half?
Yeah, we, out of what we got total were 20 interviews due to, some people not showing up or plans changing or whatever. So we got 12 interviews on camera and 8 that had the video had just had to be scrapped because it was just gone. They just stopped saving the video files for no reason. They were recording. As far as the cameras told us, blinking red light like it is right now. Yeah, we don't know if this is being saved at the moment. So
we do know it's going to look like shit because of the blinking light, though. We know that for a fact because every video we've recorded with these has been that way.
Yeah, so these are not great cameras. Lesson learned, if you're going to do video work, you do get what you pay for. And while these these do work in as far as, learning the basics of videography, to take it the next step and learn the basics of video editing, you have to have footage. And these kind of suck at that. So the quality of the footage you get is not great. And that's if you get footage at all at the end of the whole project. So that really sucked. That broke our hearts.
On top of that,
yeah.
Well, I shouldn't say on top of that. I should say because of that, it set us back financially. Because while they are cheap cameras, we're fucking poor. So they weren't cheap to us when we bought them. And because of that, we had to resituate and figure out how to get what we needed to do what we were planning on doing, because we know that we're only going to get so far with what little promotional content we have. Pretty much, if you don't know somebody who knows us or knows somebody who's been on this show, or you're not a fan of somebody who's been on this show or a fan of our work, the odds of you seeing any of our promotional content is slim to none. Let's be honest about that. And it's because we don't have any video promotion material for you guys to see. And we don't want to keep, not that we don't want to keep doing this without growth, but we don't want to keep approaching this in the...
we showcase people.
Yeah.
The whole point of this is that we bring on people who are doing cool shit so that we can talk to them about the cool shit that they do and then just enjoy some time with them so you can get to know them if you are a fan of them. Or you can be introduced to them and be like, hey, I really like what this person's doing. And based on that conversation, they're pretty fucking cool. So I'd like to go check out more. That's the whole point of this. And for us to be able to do that effectively, we need to have access to all of the things that the internet has proven people want when they interact with things. And that includes video. So we did everything within our power to make it so that what we do for the sake of the people we do it with and for, they get that full exposure. We're not just blowing smoke and being like, hey, we're going to use the work you do and talk to you since you're a cool person to make our careers better. No, we're legitimately trying to help people reach a bigger audience in doing what we do and doing it in a way that's organic and fun and cool. If we're going to do that, we need to have video, just plain and simple. How many people have told you guys, or you or me or Hall or whatever, if you guys had video, I'd love to watch your podcast. I just don't listen to podcasts. When I'm searching.
Pretty much everybody I know who wants to make an excuse for not listening to our podcast. Yes.
Yeah. When I'm surfing YouTube, I like to watch podcast clips and shit like that.
Yeah, most people ingest podcast material through clips. Like when you look at the JRE clips before he switched to Spotify, and when you look at the TikTok clips that Theo Von does numbers on and stuff of that, most people don't want to sit and listen to, an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours plus of people just talking. What they want to get to is the meat and potatoes, and what modern promotional content, specifically TikTok and Instagram Reels and Facebook Reels and such, it kind of gives them what they want in a more instant way. And if they choose, and then you have, the percentage of people that actually want to delve deeper into whatever they're seeing, they then follow that to its source. And if we're providing video that gives people, it's easier to grab that way. The way that we're doing, we have been doing it, which is exclusively audio, makes it impossible for us to use any of the effective promotional tactics in order for us to grow and do our guests justice, because when we bring our guests on, it's to give them exposure and to showcase them, like Dylan was saying. And we can't do that to the best of our ability when 90% of the tools that are available us to grow we don't have access to because we don't have the equipment. So with all of that being said,
we bought shitty cameras.
We bought shitty cameras, and the Blacklight event, which was the reason why we rushed to buy them to begin with, happened to be 3 days after the return date limit, or whatever the fuck they call it. Basically, the last day that we could have returned these cameras and got our money back was literally 3 days before we did the Blacklight showcase. So
we didn't find out they really sucked until we really needed them.
Yeah. Fucking great, right? Which leads us kind of into the next thing that we need to address, because we can't get that money back. That's, I'm not going to tell you guys how much it was, but it was a decent amount, and we can't get that money back. Therefore, we now have to rebuild, because again, to peel that curtain back a little bit, we have our own account for Millennials Suck, where we put money on it to pay for our hosting, which would be, the distributor. For any musicians out there, it'd be kind of like TuneCore or DistroKid or CD Baby or whatever, where like how they put things, you upload your music and they put it to different streamers and stuff like that. It's very similar to that. We use that account. We send money there to buy equipment, to pay for our distribution, for all of that. And we emptied our account to buy these cameras. And again, none of us just has an extra $500 laying around to go buy 2 HD functional cameras. We just don't. And we considered going on a credit route, and unfortunately, due to issues I have, which I will get into momentarily, I can no longer contribute to that, which means that a third of our contribution of parties, which the reason why Alyssa's here is because, first of all, she's so pretty. And secondly, because Dylan Hall can't make it. He's got life shit going on. We're recording on a weird day. But I'm just going to get into it. So
let's talk about testicles.
Well, it's weird that you said it plurally. Kind of disrespectful, I would say. To be candid, so a month ago or so, I guess, I don't know when you're watching this, we'll say in March, I was diagnosed with stage 1 testicular cancer. As of this moment, which is the 4th of April, we don't know much else. I've been having a lot of runaround with doctors and trying to schedule tests and get scans done and stuff like that. And I haven't been able to get in to see my urologist to figure out exactly where we're at. So as of right now, we can only operate off of the assumption that I have stage 1 testicular cancer. I had some pains and some aches, and they thought it was an infection. I went in, I took their antibiotics, did what I was supposed to do. A couple weeks later, it was still there. I went back, had some tests done. They sent me to a hospital. The hospital didn't do shit, and I'm very mad about it. But in the span of 2-3 weeks, I basically found out that within the span of 2 days, actually, I found out that I had to have my testicle removed, and I had to possibly, do some preventative treatment if that got rid of it, and if it didn't, more so after that. Like I said, right now where we're at, we don't know what the next steps look like, because we don't know what exactly is going on yet, because we haven't been able to get the appropriate testing and the appropriate scans and stuff done in order for us to figure it out. So because of all of that, which leads back into the financial aspect of this show, I am currently, over the span of 6 weeks, almost $10,000 in debt, and I may have just started. So I can, and on top of that, we just moved, last week? We literally the Friday before this, the 31st of March. And with everything else going on, I personally cannot contribute to, a financial situation. And on top of that, Foreman has also been doing a career change in his day job life, where he was also in a bind financially for a little while. And Dylan Hall, bless his little baby heart, he spends a lot of money where he lives. And so we don't want to rely too much on him to help us, not to help us out. I shouldn't say that, because to contribute more than he needs to, because the two of us are not in positions at this moment to do what we need to do in order for us as collectively to do what we need. So essentially, we don't know when we're going to be able to get back to making content. It could be a month from now. It could be 6 months from now. We just don't fucking know. We do know that we do promise we will be back at some point. We just don't know when. Everything's kind of up in the air right now. Essentially, a lot of it depends on what's going on with my health in the next few months. If I need to seek treatment, or if I need to whatever, it's going to take time. You know what I mean? If chemo is necessary, then that's not just going to take time. It's going to take energy and things of that nature. It's also probably going to cause me to miss work, which means I'm not going to be able to pay my bills the correct way, let alone, do the extra things we do in order to keep this show running and try to advance it the way we want to. So essentially, that's the best we can give you. I wish I could sit here and be like, yo, give us till May 5th or whatever the fuck, but we just can't at this point. I was really hoping you could say something there, because I didn't know what else to say after that. So you're just kind of staring at me and nodding, and that's not helpful at all.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, man, I totally agree.
I fucking hate you.
No, you're making really, really solid points.
You're making great points.
My thoughts on the situation are, we're not asking for help. This isn't us reaching out and being like, hey, we started a Patreon, help us buy cameras and, fix Jason's
Yeah, I'm
cancer,
not asking for a GoFundMe to pay my medical bills or anything like that. I'll take care of it.
Yeah, we're just trying to, we take what we do seriously, and, we figured it's better to, at the very least, you're all intelligent and empathetic enough to know, like, people go through shit.
I'm sorry. I thought you called our audience intelligent. Continue.
You're all
people
inept enough to know, or not, I guess.
You all exist.
People go through shit, man. Life gets real as fuck sometimes. And even when you do try your best, it doesn't always go the way you want. We put a lot of fucking time and effort into trying to get this shit figured out. I downloaded new programs onto the computer to learn how to video edit it, and tried to learn some like basic camera science and shit.
This dude was literally on the verge of possibly taking out a $2,000+ credit line specifically to get a new computer to be able to maximize the effects of us having video footage.
Probably still going to do that.
Yeah, I mean, that definitely will need to happen. His computer's fucking old, but it definitely will happen at some point. But that's where we were at. Like, as soon as we got these cameras, before we realized they were fucked, he was literally on the verge of like taking out a damn near $3,000 loan just for the sake of getting a computer that he could use in order to edit and all of that shit more effectively. So when we say that
we busting our asses,
we really are trying. Like, I swear to God, like we've been beating our heads up against the wall for months on ways that we could come back faster. We've considered just coming back to, back to audio for, at least a little while. We've considered, just trying to use iPhones. We've considered all types of shit. And it just comes to the point to where we have to admit that there is nothing we can do outside of whatever we're doing right now, which is as much as we can in order to get to, where we're trying to be. And I want anybody who is hearing this to understand that when he says that we take this seriously, I can literally pull up hours of conversations that he and I have multiple times a week over Messenger, over just phone calls, everything, where he and I sit there and all we do is discuss ideas, how to do things better, how to do things more efficiently, how to make things work, type of stuff we want to do down the road. Like, I mean, up until all of the nonsense with these cameras happened, we had a 5-year plan of things that we were developing to do 5 years from now. We knew we were going to do the cameras around this time when we first started. We've obsessively planned everything about this show. And unfortunately, over the last few months, due to, equipment issues and us being just generally stupid, and also, with me being sick and all,
and being poor.
Yeah. Poor. That's the main takeaway of this, is that we're poor, and that's it. But no, and really quick, just to really address something that I was worried about. If anyone who is seeing this is a personal friend of mine or is somebody that knows me personally in any way, and they're kind of in their feelings about, oh my God, why wouldn't you tell me? First of all, fuck you, selfish. Secondly, it's not personal. It's one of those things that I'm a very private person. I know it kind of doesn't seem like it because I talk about wild shit on this podcast all the time that are super intimate stories, but I'm very particular about what I'm private about. And what you guys may not realize is I'm also very particular about what details I give when talking about things on the show, even with sensitive information, because I am extremely private, and both of these two can confirm that. I don't like a lot of people to know what's going on in my personal life. I don't like a lot of people to know when I'm going through hard times. I don't like a lot of people to really know when I'm winning for real. I like to experience life in my own way, and I don't like a lot of influence interfering with that. So ultimately, this was something that until right now, basically, I didn't want to contact a bunch of people or to jump online and make a bunch of posts and all this shit, begging for people to, show me sympathy or whatever the fuck, because I don't care about all that. I mean, I literally the only reason why I'm saying it now is because there's no way around it, and it's only fair to our viewers and the people that make this show possible and the people that make this show worth doing knows the truth about why we're not around. And we also have made a point this entire time to remain. Yeah, obviously there's entertainment factors. There's things that get embellished. There's things that get exaggerated. There's things that get ruffled up in order to make the show more entertaining. However, we do try to maintain as much authenticity as we can without making the show fucking boring. And we can't really keep that mentality, honestly, if we're literally hiding the main reason in which we're not fucking recording. And you guys deserve better than that. I mean, fuck you, but you do. You know what I'm saying? So ultimately, that's where we're at. Again, we genuinely have no fucking idea when we're going to be able to come back. We're hoping it's sometime soon. We're hoping that. I might rob a bank, possibly steal a baby and ransom it. I don't fucking know. But we got to figure something out.
And it sucks real bad because we've got a lot of friends doing a lot of cool shit right now that we would love to be talking to them about.
Yeah, and I mean, exactly. I mean, fuck. Spirit Board's working on music right now. Brave Lake just released a new song called, was it Clarity? That song bangs. Go listen to it. Young Mosh has got a new single coming out, I believe at the end of this month, if I'm not mistaken. I can't remember the date they gave us. There's just so much happening by all the people that we want to see, that we want to talk to, and they're all doing cool shit. I mean, Alyssa's moving up in the world of art. Is that how you say it? In the world of art?
Sure.
Anyway, like there's so many people around us that are elevating and doing such great shit. And this would be the perfect time for us to be able to display that for you guys. But unfortunately, we just can't. We're not in a position to do so. Ultimately, what I want to say is that Alyssa Cervisi gave me cancer, and I can prove it in more than 2 ways. I'm not going to right now, but she did it for sure. Ow! Stop hitting me in front of people.
I beat up cancer patients.
Dylan, talk to the fans.
Fans, Alyssa Cervisi beats up cancer patients. You heard it here first. Millennials Suck exclusive.
You literally saw it, actually. There's like 12 witnesses right now. So yeah, that's pretty much all we wanted to say. I mean, is there anything else that we should hit on? I mean, I can't really think of anything else going on.
Look, the only thing I want to hit on at this point is you. And, whether you want that to be on camera or not, I'll leave up to you.
Listen, Daddy,
Don't you point those beautiful blue eyes at me. I swear to
You,
God.
want to see the ball?
I've seen it.
I've got half a sack of true love for you. And you keep talking like that, and you're going to get it.
That being said, we do want to update you on, so Dylan Hall is going to take a little bit of a different role in this podcast, in that he is going to fill in as
my second testicle.
Jason's other
He's actually
testicle.
going to just replace my other testicle, and that's it. He's actually been talking a lot about how my other one's lonely. So he thinks that if he could just Honey, I Shrunk the Kids himself into my sack, he can keep it warm.
So, Dylan Hall's still going to be a pivotal part of the show, obviously.
Yeah, he's going to produce at least 30% of my semen.
And, that makes him a real, everybody give it up for Dylan Hall. Just give it up for Dylan Hall. Yeah. The true VIP hero of this story.
There is a very special shout out I want to give out real quick, and I've done it online, and I've thanked him a million times, but I want to shout out Christian Barracks for a second. Any OG Millennials Suck fans know who Christian is.
He a real one.
Any of our personal friends know who Christian is. Anybody who's a fan of Spirit Board knows who Christian is. Anybody who is a fan of Into the Skies knows who Christian is. The weekend of the new Natty Showcase was the weekend I went to the hospital per my doctor's not even recommendation. It was practically demanded. I went in to have my second checkup or to have it looked at again, did an ultrasound. And before I'd even gotten home, and at the time I lived 15 minutes away from the hospital. Before I'd even got home, he was calling me, telling me I needed to check myself into a hospital. Another doctor that I had seen through that same practice was calling me to go to the hospital, expect to be there for a few days. And that was the weekend of new Natty. So we didn't know whether I was going to be in there a night, a day, a couple hours. They basically told me to pack a bag and be prepared to be there for a week. And in that time frame, based on the dynamic of the show, which we're not going to get into, but based on the way that we carry the show dynamically, we needed somebody to replace me if I couldn't be there. And the only person that we could think of that was even possible to do so was Christian. And as OG fans know, Christian has a really shitty job, and it's really hard on him, and he takes in a lot. He's also got his band, and he's got a wife, and he's got all this other stuff going on. And he literally dropped everything because I asked him that if I got a hold of him even as late as Sunday morning when we were supposed to do the interviews, if he could take my place and, do the interviews for us. He even went so far as to ask me for the artist list so he knew what he was getting into in case he had to do it and stuff like that. Now, he didn't actually end up needing to do so. The hospital kind of fucked me, and I'm not going to get too far into that because it doesn't matter. But I ended up only being there for a few hours, but just the notion that he was willing to step up, and I don't want to say step up, but the fact that he was willing to do me such a favor in such an important time frame with very little information was huge for us. And we did it, everything went off the way it was supposed to. But even if we hadn't, we still would have had that content because Christian was willing to do what he needed, what I asked him to do as a friend. And I will never not love him for that. That's one of the things that I love the most about Christian is that when he calls you his friend, he fucking means that shit. And at this point, obviously there wasn't like a I just realized it type of thing. Like Christian's been my homie for years, but it was just, reaffirming that willingness that he has to do things for people that a lot of people aren't willing to do in terms of, helping out his friends and being loyal or whatever the fuck. So Christian, I know you're watching this. Thank you so much, and I love you so much.
Repping the Spirit Board hat.
Yeah, I am repping the Spirit Board hat. I was going to wear the Angel Maker hat, but I was like, nah, I got to put on for Spirit Board. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So essentially, I also want to give a quick shout out to Dylan Hall yet again. He has been kind of my guy the last couple of weeks. I mean, we just moved recently, literally 5 minutes away from him. He helped us. He basically did most of the work while moving. He was down. He kind of helped me when we were doing the interviews and stuff to kind of keep things on track. He gave me, because I have a really bad social awkwardness, if you haven't noticed yet. And he was really he helped me ground me during those interviews so that I had somebody to kind of like fall back on for when I was feeling uncomfortable with somebody I hadn't met being, the guest at the time, or with the camera being in my face for the first time. So I wish he were here because I want to say mean things about him, but because he's not, I can't, and it sucks. But anyway, and I also want to give a really special shout out to Dylan Foreman, because dude is a magician, and he rolls with punches better than any other human being I've ever met. I'm a very emotionally, I'm a very easily provoked person emotionally. I'm very, very quick to get anxious or angry, specifically those two. And because of, the people I have around me, specifically Foreman in this particular instance, he helps me kind of reposition that energy. So instead of sitting back and being mad or being scared or whatever the fuck, I want to say scared, but like anxious or whatever the fuck, he genuinely has helped over the last fucking 10 years of just helping redirect my energy into productive fashion. And he's also a fucking bitch, dude. Like, all he does is just wake up and be a bitch. I'm over it, And also, and finally, and definitely not least, this woman sitting next to me. I don't think that the last 4 months of my life would have been survivable if not for the support of people around me. And when it comes to that regard, this woman has been unshakable. I mean, there's been times where, I've been, mad or depressed or whatever it is, and over various different things. And every single time she's been there to kind of like remind me that, there's other things in life than just whatever it is in that moment that's fucking me up. And she genuinely helps me to see the world in a better way. And I'm very thankful to you for that. But ultimately, just to wrap this up, 'cause it's already way longer than we anticipated. Thank you to all of you for not just watching this, but hopefully sharing it. And also thank you for caring enough to open it, honestly. And thank you to everyone except Dylan Foreman, if you don't mind.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, as we said at the beginning, as the star of the show, and, as much as Millennials Suck.
Where did the name Millennials Suck come from? Oh, never mind. I'm just thinking out loud. Go ahead.
On a real note, though, as much as Millennials Suck, it fucking sucks to be a millennial.
I'm going to say, bro, as shitty as we are as a generation, and we are, being one is worse. It's like if you have to deal with that realization, but you also have to deal with the realization that everyone hates you because of it. It's a whole situation.
Yeah. It's rough out here for your boys right now, man. But nah, man, we're bouncing back.
Yeah.
We'll see you guys soon.
Yeah, we'll be back in a little bit. Dylan Foreman.
As fucking
You didn't let me finish it.
always.
I'm going to run that whole thing back because you didn't let me finish it. So, with that said, Foreman.
As fucking always.
For somebody who has literally gone on air to vilify Dylan Hall for ruining segments.
As always.
Foreman, if you don't mind.
As always.
Thank you.